Vader's redemption and sacrifice in Return of the Jedi is not just an iconic and memorable Star Wars moment, it is a highlight of film and story itself. To change such a drastic sacrifice on the part of the father to save the son deserves much credit and recognition before even touching the scenario. With that said, welcome to What If Star Wars Explained, where we take a pivotal part of the Star Wars saga and change it to explore the consequences. In this installment, we will be exploring the idea of Vader surviving the damage inflicted to himself and his suit by the Emperor's Force Lightning, and if he accompanied his son off of the Death Star. Vader, although heavily damaged and having labored breathing, would quickly evacuate the Death Star mere seconds before it exploded. Luke would then quickly contact the nearest ship or rebel base with the medical bay, expressing he required immediate assistance. Luke would immediately receive a message, informing him a rebel base would be nearby that contained an emergency medical bay. Luke would hastily locate the ship and dock, now almost carrying his father aboard the ship. At first, a rebel soldier would rush to help him, but would stop in his tracks, frozen by confusion and fear at the sight of Vader. Luke would order for help, but still the rebel would stare. Suddenly, a medical droid would rush past the soldier and assist Luke with helping Vader to the sickbay. Once there, Vader would be placed within a Bacta tank as Luke took command of the ship, locating coordinates to a more advanced rebel base with the necessary requirements to save Vader's life. The rebel soldier from earlier behind the back of Luke would reach out to the rebel leaders, including Han and Leia, informing them he believed Luke had turned to the dark side and was now attempting to save his new master, Darth Vader. Mon Mothma would quickly order a team to apprehend the rebel ship and conduct an exploratory mission to confirm the claims. Leia would tell Mothma that she didn't believe it and that it had to be one final trick on behalf of the Empire. Leia would then reach out to Luke, asking what he was doing and if what she had heard was true. Luke would attempt to explain what had happened and that their father was now good. This would, for a moment, anger Leia as she would shout at Luke that the man aided in not only destroying her people, but her real father and everyone she once loved on her home world. Luke would tell her that he knew what she was feeling, that Vader had taken so much from him too, but would ask for the opportunity to let him stand for his crimes, but to give a chance and not condemn him to die without a second thought. Luke and Vader would eventually reach the base, with the rebel squadron sent after them not far behind. Luke and the droid would rush a now dying Vader from the ship into the more advanced medical bay, but would be stopped at the entrance, informing them they had orders to hold them in the hangar until further inspection had been conducted. A few of the soldiers would raise their blasters at Vader, and one would look at Luke, pointing to Vader again with his blaster, explaining the man by his side was responsible for countless deaths. Luke would simply ask for a chance, but the soldier would respond, he had one, then quickly fire 3 shots at the tank holding Vader. Luke would jump in front of the bolts, activating his lightsaber and knocking the charges into harmless areas of the hangar. He would then lift his hand into the air and reach out with the Force, crushing all the blasters the rebels held in their hands. With his lightsaber still ignited, Luke and the medical droid would walk past the rebel soldiers and escort Vader to the medical bay. After successfully getting Vader there, Luke would wait at the entrance of the bay and would soon be greeted by Han and Leia, along with Mon Mothma and a significant amount of rebel soldiers. Mon Mothma would order Luke to stand aside, and Luke would bow his head, telling her when his father was safe, they could enter. Mothma's lip would curl, and she would shout, "The only reason you're not in restraints right now is because of your contributions to the rebellion. Now stand aside." Luke again, still looking at the floor, would say, "When my father is safe." Mothma, now looking at the floor herself, would say, "That man, that monster has not killed hundreds or thousands, but millions of innocent beings, and now you are protecting him, like his servant. If you will not move, you will be moved." Mon Mothma would then nod to the troops, and then again, they would raise their blasters. Luke suddenly would outstretch his hand, sending the group flying backwards, but not to the extent to hurt or kill, but simply momentarily subdue. Several rebel soldiers would make it to their feet, preparing to fire at Luke, who again would ignite his saber, when suddenly the medical droid would peek his head out of the medical bay door and say, "Master Skywalker, Darth Vader is now stable." Luke would then lower his weapon, deactivating it and placing it on his belt. Mothma and the troops, now to their feet, would storm past him. Upon entering the room, they would all freeze, stunned by the frail, crippled man attached to several machines that he required to simply take a breath. Mothma would stare at the man, who would slowly raise his head. In a look of disgust, she would proclaim, "Lord Vader, you are under arrest for your crimes against the galaxy." Luke would ask that he be held here for the time being, until he could be moved more securely. Mothma would quickly look at him and say, "You are in no position to bargain, Jedi, but this last request, I will grant." For a time, Luke would watch over his father while under constant supervision on behalf of the rebels. Luke would also speak to Han and Leia personally, explaining the events that transpired on the second Death Star, and that now, Vader was Anakin Skywalker once again, and was responsible for killing the Emperor. Leia and the other rebellion leaders would soon be summoned to an emergency meeting to discuss the ultimate fate of Vader. The group would debate for nearly a day, but Leia would return to Luke with tears in her eyes, informing him Vader was to be executed. Luke would have no anger, just sadness, knowing exactly where the rebel leaders were coming from. He, however, would tell Leia that he would not let his father die, as he had saved him on the Death Star. Luke would then hug his sister, telling her it may be a long while until he saw her again, and that the Jedi were never meant to be a part of the New Republic anyway, and that now it was in better hands. That night, Luke would free Vader after incapacitating the guards, providing him with his secretly repaired suit, and the two would exit the base in secrecy. The next morning, Mothma would order a full sweep of the surrounding area, then finding Leia and telling her she was glad they were able to make it, and even expected it, revealing she had seen Luke's eyes, and then Vader's, and that whatever evil was once behind them had gone. She would also reveal to Leia that this was the reason she had not detained Luke as well, in hopes they could escape and rebuild the Jedi Order as the rebels now must do on behalf of the Republic. Luke and Vader would venture to the unknown regions of space, where Vader would tell Luke that their work was not over, and now it was time to right some of the many wrongs he levied against the galaxy. Vader would explain to Luke that Palpatine had always felt the dark side and his power came from beyond what had currently been discovered and was seeking it out in the outer regions of space, and that now they must find it. They must seek it out not to learn from it, but in an effort to destroy it, as its capabilities could potentially be devastating. Vader would tell Luke that the New Republic could handle the remnants of the Empire, but that something beyond their power was stirring. As my only side note for this installment, the reason for this is because in the new canon Star Wars books, they have been explaining that Palpatine was searching for something beyond the known regions, but we're not quite sure what it was. I believe Vader would be aware of this as well, and want to seek it out to destroy it, and find redemption for his many past crimes. As far as what this ancient dark power is unknown, whether it be Snoke or something else. Nonetheless, father and son will attempt to find and destroy it, while also constructing a new Jedi Order. So that is how I think it would all play out if Vader happened to survive and escape the second Death Star with Luke. Again, the original story is perfect, but I think if this happened, it could open some pretty cool stories. I want to apologize if you were hoping for a little more action and large-scale things. I just don't see Vader wanting to fight, and Luke, of course, would only wish to incapacitate, not kill his comrades, so I thought it fit. This was definitely a more personal installment of Star Wars Explained, and I'm curious, which do you prefer, the more action-packed descriptions or the smaller, more personal moments? A reminder, this is all just my opinion on how I think things would proceed, but I'm curious, how do you think they would work out? How do you think the universe would change if Vader actually survived? Feel free in the comments to suggest future what-ifs, as I love making them, even though they may take a bit more time. The next what if will be completely decided by you. Go ahead and suggest below what you would like to see, and the suggestion that gets the most thumbs up will be the premise for the next what if. I would also just like to say thank you for all the support and kind comments on all of the videos, but this series in particular. The first time I made one, I thought I was going to make a complete fool of myself, but you guys really seem to like it, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen and ponder over all these stories with me, and that really means a lot. As always, if you have any other lore topics or questions you want answered, do not hesitate to tweet them at me at StupendousWave on Twitter, or leave a comment below and I will try my best to answer or make a full video dedicated to your topic. Thanks again so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.